back to the YouTube channel. As always, I'm Sum.
And I'm Koaty, and this is Koaty Sum.
So we're back. We haven't done a long video in a while, so thank you for staying subscribed. We've been traveling a lot this last month, but I do love just sitting here and just getting to just relax and chat up with you.
Got my fourth coffee for the day.
Is that really your fourth?
No, it's my
You were
second.
having the jitters earlier.
I guess this is the equivalent to 2.
He came home from getting his oil change, telling me about the car, and he's like shaking.
Okay. Well, first it was
like I went 20,000 miles.
It was
I got my tires changed.
It was supposed to be an oil change. It ended up being an oil change, a tire rotation, brake fluid change, lug nut replacement. You know, an oil change is what, supposed to be like $80. I ended up spending like $400.
If that's what you need on your car, that makes me really scared to go and get my oil
I know, because my car is the one that runs.
Because I definitely need at least one tire. I have one headlight out. My key battery doesn't work.
At least the trunk locks now.
The trunk does lock now.
Before the trunk, it just wouldn't even latch.
The trunk wasn't latching for a good 3 months. I've been driving this Prius around, just not really giving a crap about it. So
yeah, where we could easily get new cars, it's just not something either of us care about.
Well, no, every time we do think about getting a new car, then, you know, like yesterday we made a video about my driving skills, and it's just like a reminder of like, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't get a new car.
Lots of dents.
I mean, but if you look at my Prius, a lot of those dents, and when I say a lot, there's dents on all sides of it. They're from like the first 4 years of driving when I used to drive a lot for work.
Yeah.
Now that I don't drive as much, nothing's really happening.
Well, that's what's funny is we really don't drive a lot here, so our friends don't even know what cars we drive, and when they see our cars, they're like, these are not the cars we expect you guys to have.
I know. That's why when we like make it, if we're gonna make a TikTok with our cars in it, I'm like, I feel like these aren't the cars people would think we have.
Yeah.
He
has a Prius and I have a Ford Focus.
I just look at cars as such a crappy investment. It's not an investment at all. It's just an expense.
Yeah.
So I just have no desire to have a nice car right now.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
That's just me. I'd rather spend our money on traveling, which is what we've been doing. You know.
Traveling, clothing, concerts, that's the stuff we like.
But we had, you know, a busy month from Pensacola for Memorial Weekend, and then
just Pride events in general and places we had to be for Prides. And
it's technically a Pride.
Yeah. And it was fun, but we finally last weekend took a break and we stayed in, but each night we would go to a different movie. It was like date weekend.
Yeah, we had a date weekend.
I feel refreshed. I feel like we caught up on a lot of like small errands.
Yeah.
Like there's this wallpaper I wanted to put up on a wall that I've had it for like 3 months. Finally got to do that.
It looks really good. It's literally right behind the camera. I can't move the camera, otherwise I would show you.
It looks better than I thought it would do. I've never put wallpaper up in my life.
And we were able to catch up on just a lot of our TV shows, which I love. I also just love staying home.
Wow, we sound old.
The older I get, the more I'm becoming more of a homebody. And I'm fine with
sound
that.
boring and old.
No, we went out for 3 weekends in a row.
I know. I'm just saying how we're talking.
No, I'm just like we. I think we have a good balance of both. Like we have a good social life. We're around gays all the time.
Yeah.
We see so many gays.
Well, it's like I was saying before. You know, when I lived in Philly, I felt like I lived a very straight life and did some gay activities sometimes.
Yeah.
Where now I live a very gay life, where we do very few straight activities, you know.
And I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Well, no,
I just mean like the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, I love being gay. Like I don't need to go to straight. Like I just.
But that's something you were born and raised here, so you're kind of just used to it. Like I think about it and am able to put it into those terms because I lived very differently before, and I've always wanted to have a bunch of gay friends and just be encompassed in a gay world, and you know, until I moved here I didn't have that, you know, which is kind of why what we're even going to talk about today is dating, like why dating was so different in Philly, even though it's one of the largest cities in the nation and it's considered to be very gay. It's the gay scene there is small, very small.
And some people thrive on that. Some people want a big metropolis city where they're around more gays and doing gay events. I mean, sometimes you hear like those gays that don't want to be around so many gays. They're like, where do I fit in? And I think there's still a community for everybody. But I like being in a bigger city surrounded more by more gays and feeling more of a sense of community. And I just don't, when we do family stuff and we're around all the straights, I'm like, oh, they live such a different life than us. And I'm okay with that.
As exhausting, but in very different ways.
Yeah.
the children and.
But they talk about how exhausted they are too. It's just it's just from different stuff. They're exhausted from their kids and all these like everyday obligations that they have to do. And if I'm tired from because I like got to go be with friends and party on a beach all weekend.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Every time I talk to my brother, it's like they're at some sort of sporting event. Dance, soccer, baseball, swimming. It's just like, do y'all ever get a chance to just do something for yourselves, ever?
Well, that's why they've still never come out here.
I know. I lived here for what? Good 4 years almost, and my mom has been here twice, and no one else has been here.
I think it, provides them their own sense of fulfillment, but
yeah.
I feel like we kind of get the opportunity to kind of see both sides in a way, because we're with them. We see the way they live their life. They don't like come on these trips with us or do the things we're doing. So all they know is the life they've lived, versus like I kind of get to see a little bit of both sides. Not that we have kids, of course, so we don't fully know, but like we're around them a lot and their everyday life. And that's why when sometimes people are like, "Oh, do you like being gay?" I'm like, "Yes, I much more prefer to be gay and live the life I've chosen to live."
Yeah. Well, when it comes to my brother and his wife, they lived in Philly with me for a little bit. So, they saw the gay life I lived there. And it's really funny because I think that they picture a sort of life like that here when it's completely not the same, whatsoever. So.
But when we're here home, like not doing much, like I still feel like there's lots to do here outside of the trips and things that we're doing, like having a quiet weekend is still.
Yeah. That's what I love.
It's like having the option to do both.
That's why I always want to live in the city because when we go home and see my mom for like a week, we go home and we have to be home at like 8 or 9 because there's nothing open, nothing to do.
Yeah.
Where here it's like we can go to a bar, see a drag show, go to the movies, go to Universal, go to Disneyland, all this fun stuff that we can do whenever.
I don't know, when it comes to dating here though, I mean, all we kind of have these days is what our friends tell us.
Yeah.
Our friends, I don't know, it's like hit or miss. Some really enjoy it, some thrive off of it, and some hate it.
Yeah.
So I think some of it's about perspective and your outlook on it.
Yeah.
And what you're looking for. It's
hard for me to compare my experience with our friends here because I've never been single in LA.
Yeah.
I've only been single in Philadelphia, and that's very different. I feel like when I lived in Philly, all the boyfriends I had weren't even living. I had one boyfriend maybe the entire time I lived in Philly, like who lived also in Philly, that I met in Philly.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like I met in Chicago, or I dated someone here in LA before I even lived here, before I even knew you, and I don't know.
Well, what do you think about like being friends with an ex? We ran into your ex in Orlando a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So in theory, when someone says that to me, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, but I'm actually not friends with any of my exes.
I don't see a reason to be good friends with your ex. I think you can be cordial and amicable, but I feel like you broke up for a reason, and I found over time, even if you start off as kind of like friends because you run in the same friend circle or anything like that, your life should start to separate. Like that's kind of the point, that like you're going down different paths. So if you're going down this path and they're going down this path, your life should start to drift apart. Yeah. And friend groups change and evolve. So I don't think it makes sense to be friends with the next.
There's no need. And then, when you start something new with someone else, that just causes a lot of like questions with someone new you're dating. It's like, oh, why are you not with your ex? Like kind of that sort of stuff.
I'm not saying it's not possible, but
it's definitely based on the mentality of the couple.
I think there's definitely been people that maybe you date for a couple weeks and you realize you're better off friends. Like that's different. Mm-hmm. Like you weren't really like, but if you're with someone for 2-3 years, I think, and there's like, a breakup, like I think that's kind of where like a lot of times, I don't mean, one, you need that separation period. I think it's so funny when people are like, we're going to be friends right away. It's like, no, you need to take a couple months apart.
Like Koaty and Shorts on Vanderpump.
Yeah, to have some time to think, and then decide where you go from there. Because no matter like how amicable the breakup is, in my opinion, you have to grieve the loss of what happened. Yeah. Like to grieve the loss of like that person that was there every day, the routine of it. You're starting something new. So
yeah, and there's something different than being friends or being friendly. Because the gay community in general in the world is small. You know, it's the point where it's like 6 degrees of separation. Everyone knows everybody in some way.
Like it's 3.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, maybe 2. I was being conservative,
No,
but being friendly. You know, yes. Can I be in the same room as you if we have similar friends? 100%.
Yeah.
But it's not like we're making plans together intentionally, you know.
I'm not friends with any of my exes. I'm friendly. I mean, I only have what 1, 2, 3 exes, 3 main exes, right? Yeah. So it's not like I have a lot, but I'd say the only one I would ever like reach out to and just say hi or respond to any sort of social media stuff would be my first one.
Yeah.
But again, that was like 10 years ago, and like our lives are completely different. We live completely different lives. We don't run in the same circle at all, so there's no reason to like stay in constant communication or anything. So
I don't know. I have a lot more exes than you, and I usually, if I see them, the small times that we have, I usually say hi, with the exception maybe of one. And what's really funny is, you know, your exes are like from here, most of them, and live here, and we never see them out.
Yeah.
But we see them when we're away on trips.
Only my most recent one. Only the one you stole me away from.
And then my exes who don't live here or didn't when I dated them, we see all the time.
We definitely run into more, like when we're out, just even like in the last few weeks, like when we were traveling, like we'd run into at least a couple people that it's like, oh, how do you know that person? Oh, we went on a few dates, we hooked up, whatever.
Did you fuck?
I just always ask that question because you're like, oh, I know this person from San Diego. I'm like, okay, well, did you hook up with them? And I only ask that because, like, let's just get it out of the way. Like, if you did, great.
But I'm usually pretty good at just telling you from the start.
I'm not, like, I get it's, I think we handle jealousy or whatever, like, well, where it's not like, oh, I'm mad at you because we just ran into someone that you hooked up with. It's just more curiosity.
Yeah.
And
well, we're just so past those petty jealousies at this point, you know.
Yeah. But
those existed for us initially too.
I think naturally, you know, do a little cross comparison. I'm like, okay, I mean, look at you, look at me, okay, all right. Yeah. You know, there's just natural. You just like do that real quick, and give them a good up and down. But a lot of times they're really nice, and I'm really nice, and we have a quick conversation anyway.
Are you really nice?
I'm really nice to them.
So.
I mean, I don't ask you that question until after like we've walked away in the interaction.
Yeah, so you're right in front of them.
Yeah, right in front of them.
So awkward.
You know, and then sometimes it's fun to just tease you about it a little bit. But it's never.
You love to be teased.
It's never like a discussion. It's never a thing.
No, it's not.
It's so comfy.
Honestly, I never think it's been a thing. Even early in our relationship, there might be in some.
I just know it happens more with you than it does with me.
Because I have more.
But you have just a richer dating history.
That's a nice way to put it. Richer.
Well, you did the more like go on dates. I did the more like I just go to the bar.
Yeah.
And
it was harder for me because I had a job where I was traveling.
It was easier for you because you were traveling, so you were always in a different city, so you had access to guys in different cities.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was harder for me to have like a long-standing, long-term relationship because I was constantly going to different cities.
Right. You know? And I think that the positive of that versus negative is just that you were always in a new place, so you could, you know, like make new friends in a different city. Find people to go on dates in a different city because you'd be like in Chicago for a week or you'd be in Florida for a week for work, you know, so like that part's really cool. Like you said, the negative would be...
It really gave me an extensive like friendship chain into the whole country. It was
especially
really cool.
at a time where you were like going through a breakup where like you had been cut off from having any friends for so long and then doing that, like it was like bam, like access to like a social life.
That first really serious adult relationship that I had that was like 4-ish, 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, we had no gay friends because there was so much jealousy that when I came out of it, I had no gay friends at all.
Yeah.
And thank God I was able on these work trips to go out and meet people and make friendships. Yeah. You know, if the high school version of me wouldn't have been able to do that. College, which brought like the extrovert out inside, helped me be able to do that. So
I think that there is a advantage and disadvantage of like being in a long-term relationship and learning a lot about yourself versus like being single and going on a bunch of dates and learning what you want or don't want in someone else. Yeah. You know, I don't know. It's a give and take.
Well, that's why I always say, you know,
I think my relationships lasted too long. I think my first relationship probably should have lasted a year. It lasted 4. And my second one should have lasted probably a year and a half.
I had two that lasted
3.5.
longer than they should have.
Yeah.
But you know, you live and you
no
learn.
Regrets.
No regrets. Because, like I say, people are like, do you guys think you're soulmates? You believe in the word soulmates? And like, I believe we're soulmates, but in the way that the things we've been through and the paths we've taken and the experiences we have created us into these two people that are meant for each other. Like, I don't think we were meant for each other 7 years ago. I feel like we were completely different people, you know?
Yeah.
So all those things we went through, good, bad, whatever, you know, made us into who we are, into two people that have so much love and respect for each other.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. It's that you worked to become soulmates. You work on yourself throughout every relationship. You know, you take out all those experiences.
How are you working on yourself?
It's what's the saying? Forget the pain, remember the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you do that with each relationship, you build this kind of like resume of like who the person is that you want to be with, and then you slit it.
Is that me? I love that. That was so deep.
Can we put that on a shirt or something?
I don't know if I believe in soulmates.
I'm just saying. That's
no, I agree. I think.
I'm not saying soulmates like we came out of the womb.
I think no one just meets in their soulmates. Like soulmates, being a soulmate, like it takes work. It's the constant work of learning to be vulnerable and let someone in, and having someone make you feel safe to where you can work on yourself and heal and grow together.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, like it doesn't matter how attracted you are, or how good the sex is.
Yeah.
So. That's
and I think a big part of it too is you constantly keep learning lessons as you go along, you know? Because I think you and I are in a part of our relationship that we've never made to in previous relationships. So it's like uncharted waters, and, you know, we're still figuring it out ourselves.
Yeah, no, this is my longest relationship now officially, because my first one was like just under like probably just a little over 3.5 years, and we're right at about 4 years. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we are right about 4 years.
It's right about 4 years. Because we met
June 27th.
We met June 27th 4 years ago.
We didn't start dating at June, but that's when we met.
Yeah, but like that's when everything started, you know, like the relationship of whatever you want to call it, like started. So I don't know if any of you have been watching some of our older YouTube videos, but we had one that just took off that just is really gaining traction. It's the 3 positions to try when bottoming hurts. And excuse me. And
or even kind of like a beginner bottoming.
It's just so random. We did that video 11 months ago, and like now all of a sudden it's gotten like 50,000 new views in the last week. But someone left a comment about like the numbing cream, saying that was bad advice, and now like I agree with that.
Yeah. So
I wanted to just like blurt in like, yeah, like numbing cream can be like okay to use, but like we learned that like it actually can numb it to where like you don't realize that you're doing something wrong down there. That like
it's bad advice as it's not going to help it heal, but it's good advice as in if you are sore or whatever down there and you really want to have sex in the moment, it does help.
But I feel like at this point it's a little bit dangerous, because then you're like you're penetrating that where maybe you really shouldn't. Like it's like you're making it worse.
Yeah. Well, that's why we always say we're not experts.
So we're not experts. You know, my opinion on that has changed. So proceed with caution if you are going to use numbing cream. You know. Yeah. I don't know. But I did think about it. I was like, yeah, that's true.
I mean, we've already established that.
Like we haven't
that comment.
We haven't used numbing cream in a while because of that. Like we needed to like just like let everything.
We haven't used it in a long time.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. You know what? Another reason why I like to ask if you've like, not like to, but if I'm like, oh, have you hooked up with that person? It's sometimes I'm like trying to decide like, okay, are they cute? Should we have a threesome with them?
Yeah. I mean, I figured that's kind of why.
But like most of the time, I'm like, well, I don't want to have a threesome with them, but I want to know.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Occasionally. Well, most of them are from like 7-8 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
You're looking really beefy. If you are liking this video, make sure to like, subscribe, let us know any comments you have, any experiences you have from dating or being friends with your ex.
From what I know from our friends here is I feel like in LA, from the sounds of it, dating seems kind of hard. And a lot of our single friends that have been single since I've moved here are still single. And there's a lot of our close friends who I, tend to not even, I don't even like see them dating or bringing guys around. Or if they do, it's very like sporadic and in and out.
Everything's very quick.
Yeah.
It's not even like dating someone for a couple weeks, unless it's like they're doing it and they're dating someone for a couple weeks and we're just not finding out about it because it just was very short. Yeah. But
I don't know if I would have liked living here single.
But I know that you and I met at a Pride at a circuit weekend, and that to me, in my opinion, I think is rare. I think when people like our friends that are single that are saying they can't find anyone, and they're out every weekend traveling to every party and every circuit event, like while that's so much fun, I'm like, maybe you are looking in the wrong place because you're around a bunch of people that are like,
just there to have fun.
They're there to have fun, or they are not in the like right mental state to like logically know if they're into someone or not, or rationally know if they're into someone. And so sometimes you come off of a weekend of like, oh, I met this guy and he's so great, and then reality kicks in and it's like, oh wait, this person is not for me, or they think the same thing about you. So I don't know, but it sucks to say that because like you and I met fortunately at one of those events and it all worked out. So it's hard to say because our situation is so unique in the sense of like we did meet. I don't want to say unique, but like we did meet in a threesome. We met on a party weekend, and we still were able to stay in touch after I broke up with my ex.
And our second time hanging out was a party weekend.
And we were long distance. Yeah. And then you moved in after like a month of being official. Like all of that could have hit the fan at some point. And probably might not have worked for so many other people. And we're lucky that it did work for us.
Yeah.
So
then COVID happened, and we, thank God, had a blast and not.
Yeah.
A lot of people broke up.
So I recognize that that's not going to be the same case.
I noticed a lot of our friends who are in long-term relationships or do date, like, are getting serious. It's someone who's out of town who flies in, or they just moved here and they're new. Like
a lot of the gays, like they get. Yeah, they're like, there's no one to date in this city. So then they move to another city, or they start dating people in other cities.
And they move them here, or they move there.
So if you have any dating questions for us, or want to hear something specific about our relationship, we're going to take ideas in the comments and use them to make our next video. But we wanted to get on here and just chat for a little bit.
Yeah, because we've been together for 4 years, but before we've known each other, we had some crazy experiences before that too. So we're happy to talk about any of that. But
no, I don't want to talk about my past. I want to talk about stuff with you.
I'll talk about my past.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we got.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.